Okay, we are going to identify areas acquired by the United States. This is actually quite simple. We have our current shape of the contiguous United States, but it obviously always didn't look that way. So we're going to see what chunks of land did we get that made us the shape that we are today. And to give you an idea, most of us can identify that this is the original 13 colonies. When the United States became a country, when it became the United States of America, gained its independence, we're going to highlight that shape. And for today, you're going to cross out this box because we're not going to use that today. So this is actually, I'm just going to kind of do a quick little sloppy version here. So here is the shape of the United States when we gained our independence. This is what it looked like. What is highlighted here. That is obviously not what the United States looks like today. So how did we get this shape? That is the point of today. You have to tell me the names of the 6 chunks of land. Most importantly, and who did we get that chunk of land from? And then how? Because sometimes you buy land, sometimes you fight for it, you negotiate for it. We've done all of these things. And we have a cute little trick to help you remember what those are. So the first one, and on your sheet, you're simply just going to have to fill this in. So the first one we're going to do is the Louisiana Purchase. You're going to have to fill this chart in. So look at your map. And right here, the Territory, Louisiana Purchase. You're going to write that in. And its name gives it away of how we got it. Years 1803, this is actually not going to be very important. From whom? From France. That's actually who we bought this chunk of land from. We paid them money. We made a purchase. And you'll also number that with number 1 because that is our first chunk of land we get. So in addition to this, we gained this chunk of land. That's a big old chunk. Next, our second land acquisition is going to be Florida. So go down here. Territory is named Florida, 1819. And from who? We're going to get it from Spain. And how it's going to be written out in a treaty. I'll give you a hint. This is not something I'm going to have you focus on. The most important part of this acquisition is its name is Florida, and we got it from Spain. And do you know the official language in Spain? Spanish. And that'll come up later. So that is the second land acquisition. So now you have the shape of all the Louisiana Purchase, Florida, and then the original. So at this point, it's all of this. The United States is definitely growing. But what makes today so easy is our acquisitions, we just have 6 chunks of land. We didn't gain tiny little pieces here and there. We gained big chunks. The second one is, I think the best, but Texas. So we acquired this in 1845 from who? Technically from Texas, but it used to be part of Mexico. And we discussed this in the day that we had the Mexican-American War. And if you missed that day, you need to look that video up. Very important. And how annexation. Basically, Texas says, take me, U.S. Texas just wants to be part of the United States. So that was an easy land acquisition. An easy chunk of land to acquire. So this makes number 3. And here is number 4. Number 4 is Oregon. 1846 from who? England. Or you could put Great Britain. You may see either on a test. And how a treaty. Now we know most treaties end after a war, but not all. We are very happy about this one. We just had to negotiate it. So no one had to die over this. We didn't have to spend a lot of money. We were able just to talk it over with Great Britain and acquire Oregon. And this is number 4, and why does this make us so happy? Manifest destiny. Check. This is the first chunk of land that the United States owns that touches the Pacific Ocean. Manifest destiny. Check on that. That is awesome for the people whose goal was to stretch from the East Coast to the West Coast. So that's number 4. Our 5th chunk of land that we acquire, number 5, is called the Mexican Secession in 1848 from whom? Mexico. And this treaty, though, is very important, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And we had to get this through war. The treaty, once the United States wins the war against Mexico, this is one of basically the rewards of winning the war, which is this huge chunk of land that the United States wanted. And again, refer to the Mexican-American War to get more details about that. And then our final land acquisition, which is kind of a small one, is called the Gadsden Purchase. There's a name that gives it away again. So the Gadsden Purchase, 1853, from whom? Mexico, and how we purchased it. The only reason we bought it was to build some railroad tracks. And when I am done explaining this video, please refer to the other video that is a funny way to talk about the Gadsden Purchase and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. It was actually a skit on a late night TV show, and it's awesome and quite entertaining. So when this video is over, please watch that video. So this is going to be number 6, Gadsden Purchase. So we have a great, easy way for you to remember these chunks of land that made the shape of the United States. And this is how you're going to remember that. With this sentence, look for the old man's gold. L is for the Louisiana Purchase. F, Florida. T, Texas. O, Oregon. M, Mexican Secession. G, Gadsden. And that's the order. So you don't need the dates because this tells you also the order in which we acquired those chunks of land. So it makes this very simple. In class, I teach you a way to also remember where we acquired, what country we acquired each one from, because that's very important. So I'll kind of give you those tips and tricks. And we practice it when we draw our blob of the United States. A couple symbols that we will add as we practice this. So we'll draw this, we'll write Louisiana Purchase, Florida, Texas Annexation, Oregon, Mexican Secession, and Gadsden. In Gadsden, we always draw the railroad tracks. In Oregon, we always have a smiley face because that manifests destiny, goal is reached, so very exciting for Americans at that time. And then we put an M in Mexican Secession, Gadsden, and Texas because those are all lands that used to belong to the country of Mexico. And we can see that in like the names of the cities, El Paso, Los Angeles. You see all these Spanish city names, and it's because originally this land was part of Mexico. And then the same thing over here, we put an S because this used to be part of the country of Spain. And then there's no other fancy way. These two, we just know France and Great Britain. And so we practice that, and this gets added to our blob. But these are your land acquisitions. This is how you memorize them. How did the United States get the shape it has today? And how did we do that? By acquiring these 6 chunks of land. And you just have to identify them and identify the order and who we got them from, and then a couple extra important facts about a few of them. So we'll continue to practice that in class. Make sure you have this completed. And then, of course, we have a practice map on the back that you can use to practice if you miss that day, but we like to draw our own blob on a blank piece of paper and do it ourselves. That is the end for the territorial growth and land acquisitions in the United States.